So, your story is very interesting and colourful and...
go? Okay.
Go.
Go. So I was born in Newcastle, went to Hamilton Primary School, and I don't remember ever wanting to be anything other than a writer, really. I don't remember, and I keep referring over here because my mum is sitting here, so mum will be able to I don't remember ever... I always wanted to be working with words, whether I was speaking them or writing them or something. I got published in a book of poetry when I was 11, and I got published in the Herald, I think, when I was 16. So, and weirdly, my daughter is also a writer, and she's now been published for the first time at 14. So it seems to kind of run maybe in the
family. It's a gene, maybe.
Maybe. I love writing, and I'm still a writer, and I will finish off my career as a writer, but it's very solitary work, and I'm good at being on my own. I'm an only child, so I play well by myself, but I just can't do it all the time. For some reason, it's very exhausting. When I wrote Freelancing for Dummies, which is 100,000 words. It's a whole summer of my life in that book, and I went a little bit mental by the end of it, you know. Every time I saw people, I'd go, hello. You know,
what do I say?
What's happening in the world? So, but I also can't ever remember a time when I didn't love movies. And another story that Mum often tells is that she didn't realise that other people's children only watched a movie once. Yeah, I would watch a movie like 10 times. VHS changed my life, because I could watch the same movie over and over and over again.
Which one did you get sick of, Mum? Which movie was it?
Oh, Man from Snow River. Yeah, she knows that already. Oh, don't. Yeah. It's an Australian film. Yeah,
go Aussie films.
Go Australia.
So you've combined that love of writing and your love of film?
Well, going through high school, though, I didn't kind of realise that film was a job. And I was very intent on... it was the weirdest thing. I had this kind of epiphany that happened over 2 days. So I was very, very intent, hilariously, on becoming a diplomat at high school. And the reason why was because I wanted to travel. And I thought that was a really good way to go, oh, God, bless the cotton socks. Thanks, doll. Travel, thanks. I thought it would be a good way to see the world and help people and all that sort of stuff. And I remember really clearly on the Sunday night, I must have been about 16, and on the Sunday night on 60 Minutes, they had a program about Australia's first female ambassador. So no women had ever been made ambassador prior to that point. Plenty of diplomats, but no ambassador. And I'm a relentlessly ambitious person, so I thought if I'm going to fucking do it, I'm going to be an ambassador. So I was 16 years old, and this woman was on, and I avidly watched it, and she'd been made ambassador to Tibet. And I thought, bollocks to that. I'm not going to work for 50 years to go to Tibet. I want to go to New York. I want to go to London. I want to go somewhere glamorous. I know. And then I realised that those appointments are political, and I thought, no, I don't want to do that. No. So then I just went, I don't know what I'm going to do now. And literally the next day, on the Monday night, the Oscars were on. And Mum and I were watching them, and I just turned to Mum and said, you know what, I think I'd like to win one of those one day. And my mother said, well, go on then. That'd be good. And I went, okay.
How important do you think that is, that enabling factor as you're growing up, that enablement from the people around you and the encouragement that they give you? Because you've mentored a few people, and you've certainly been advisor to quite a few people. How big a stumbling block is it if you don't have it?
I cannot actually estimate how important it is, because it's that important. It's like being able to breathe. And I think, again, now I've got 3 teenage daughters who also all want to work in the arts, and it's just extraordinary what children are capable of if you don't put any kind of fences or barriers around what they want. I was frightened enough. You know, I knew what I wanted to do was weird. You know, I grew up in Newcastle, for God's sake. You know, not that there's anything wrong with that, but I mean, wanting to be a professional filmmaker in the 80s, it just wasn't real. It wasn't a real job. My careers advisor at school didn't know what to do with me. You know, and it wasn't like Mum had any particular experience as a filmmaker. But she just believed in me, and having someone believe in you, just one person, makes all the difference in the world, because I didn't think that I was going to leave high school and walk straight into Hollywood. I had a clue that it was going to be hard, but you just need one other person sometimes to believe that you can do it.
To say that you kept on. And there weren't multimedia courses like there are now, or, you know, how to use animation and everything.
There was no creative industries.
No, there weren't. Can I just get a bit of a show of hands because I'm assuming that a vast majority of the people in the room are from the creative industries. Who had that encouragement from family, friends to enter into the creative industries?
Oh, a few.
Great. Okay, that's good. So if we talk about the business, because the whole workshop this afternoon was on the business of being creative.
Yep.
How
did that happen?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had already been working as a writer, and then when I left Newcastle to study. We moved to Sydney, and I started working on crew, and I was freelancing in both professions. So I, pulled beers and did stuff like that for cash in hand, but that was my primary work focus while I was studying. When I graduated, I continued on, still not thinking that I was really running a business, and I was given, through various forms of nepotism and a bit of lying, I was given the opportunity to direct a long-form program. It started off its life as a TV movie, and it became a feature by the end of it. And it was an extraordinary experience because I was 23 years old, I think, and I'd wanted to be a film director for 7 years, but I didn't know anything about what that actually meant. The closest thing that I had in my mind to what that looked like was from Singing in the Rain, because there was no movies about movies. Like, that was the only thing. So it wasn't like that, by the way. But anyway, I had this whole fantasy in my head of what it was going to be like to direct a movie, and I directed a movie and it was just like that. So I was so caught up in the art of what I was doing and the craft and all of that I didn't pay any attention to the fact that I'd signed a horrible contract with a dodgy fuck-ass who exploited me like you have no idea, and everybody else on the show. And it got to the point where, I was having meetings with people. It was going to get released in the cinemas. There was all this talk. I'd worked on this thing for about 9 months, I think, by the end of it. And the film never got released. The whole thing got boiled down into legalities and problems, and it sort of turned into this weird money laundering scheme under the old 10BA tax. Oh, my God, it was the biggest nightmare ever, and I walked out of the end of it with nothing. And it wasn't just no money. I had spent basically a year directing a film that no one was ever going to see, which made me look like both a wanker and a liar at the same time. And
it's also heartbreaking when you've put so much heart and soul into something. Are you at liberty to tell us what the problem was with, like, where did you get caught in the legalities that stuffed the whole thing up?
Oh, it's a bit...
Okay.
Bit long and complicated.
Okay.
No,
right.
It's not. It's just a bit long and complicated. But it taught me taught me two really, really important things. Because I could have quit at that stage. I was 23. I could have done anything, and I chose not to. I chose to keep going. And that taught me the benefit of learning how to fail and get back up again. Because I could have just quit and left, and that would have been fine. No harm, no foul. But I quit, drunk too much vodka, had a bit of a cry in the car, and then got up and had another go. Not at the same time, the vodka and the crying in the car. It's dangerous. Don't do that. But it taught me an enormous amount about power.
And resilience.
Yeah, but I think that the learning about power was the most important thing, because up until that point I thought that my creative endeavours were separate from power and money. That creativity and art was over here and power and money were over here. And I just needed to be over here doing my creative work and being an artist and expressing myself, and somebody else would worry about power and money. And that was true until power and money beat the shit out of me, and then I went, okay, I don't want that to happen ever, ever, ever again. So I looked at what had happened to me, and I looked at the power scenario and how that had all worked, and I pointed out the fact that it was the producer in that particular enterprise that had fucked me over, and thought, right, that's where power and money is. I'm going to be a producer. So I started my first production company, which just had its 20th birthday this year.
Wow. So the other lessons around the business and the structure and the things that you put in place to make sure that never happened again. Because that's what, we learned a lot about that this afternoon as well.
It took me a long time to get it right, and that's part of the reason why I now share that information with other people, because I just think that you feel very lonely when you're going through the process, and you have so much stuff that you have to challenge. Is it okay to make money from my craft? Am I a sellout? Shouldn't I be starving? Yes, I'm doing work for this big corporate. Is that okay? Am I really following my dream? Like, you just torture yourself constantly. It's bloody ridiculous. But a couple of really important things happened to me. When I started my business, there was some stuff going on for me personally, and then a couple of years later I had a baby, and that just sharpened everything up. Because it was at that point when I had her that I kind of went, well, I am never going to be able to turn around and say to this little girl, we can't eat today because Mummy doesn't know how to write an invoice. It just sharpened it all up for me. I thought, no, I want to be someone that she will be proud of one day, and I want to make money, and I want to be true to myself. And I know it sounds really daggy, but I basically did it for her. And then 2 years after her, I had another two, because if you're going to do it, go hard or go home. So I had Grace in 97, I had the twins in 99, and I was a single mum by 2001. So then I had 3 children under 4.
There's nothing small about you, really, is there?
No, that's what I mean. Go hard or go home. And then I thought, yeah, I've got to, take this seriously. I've got to make this work. And I don't want a job.
And for me, watching you and what you do, and Monica has a fantastic website. It's still under Freelance Success?
Yeah, Freelance Success works, yeah.
So if you Google Freelance Success, you'll find it. And there's an enormous sharing of resources on that website. You just give it out. You just, here it is, and learn from this. And
because it just makes us all more powerful if we do that. I felt very lonely when I started my own creative business. I've been freelance. If I work it out, I don't want to work it out. I've been freelance for 26 years. I run my own business for 20 of those. And it was really, really lonely. But people started coming to me and asking me how I'd done it, and I started trying to help them. And then I realised that could be another business opportunity, and that's what I do now. So the production company that I was running is now closed, and I just spend all of my time helping other creative people with their businesses in different ways, because I just think that the more of us who get the fact that it's about power and money, and that we can still be true to our craft, we don't have to be sellouts or starving. There is actually somewhere in between. It just strengthens us all. This creative industries thing just turns me on more than I can tell you. I actually got, and this is hilarious, I'm probably going to be telling naughty secrets now.
We're only filming, it's okay.
I won't mention the council. I got asked to go and speak to a regional council at the behest of the local arts organisation, to speak to them about the importance of creative industries and empty spaces, because they've got an empty space project going on there. It's not a Renew one, but and I had to present to their council. Now, this is an area that makes most of its money from agriculture, and I anticipated resistance, and I certainly got it. But the way I got through was to say, well, we have all been treated as separate artisans forever. And then in 2003, 2004, this idea of creative industries come along. Now, when we talk about agriculture, we don't split out cows from sheep from wheat. And when we talk about mining, we don't split out gold and aluminium and ore. We lump them all together, because when it comes to the crucial aspects of how that industry works, they're all the same. And that's where power comes from, is grouping people all together. And that's what I think is so amazing about this idea of creative industries, and why I've been so keen to be at the front of it, because every one of us individually is just working in something that's not even really a proper job. We don't get the respect we deserve necessarily from our families or from our peers or from our school fucking careers advisors or whoever it is. We get pat on the head and told just go over there and be an artist and weave your baskets in your shed. And all the people in the middle make loads and loads and loads of money. Publishers and, movie studios and record producers, they're all simultaneously telling us that what we do is meaningless and not to worry about power and money, and then making tons and tons of money off us. it just drives me bonkers. So I'm so excited that this whole push is happening, and I've been watching it happening in the UK and America and Canada, and I'm just thrilled that it's here. And we're surfing the wave, doll. Surf that wave. Surf the wave.
I find I really want to do a creative arts blackout. So creative industries blackout.
I have been talking. Do you know what? Do you know who's into that? Can I tell you who's into that? I can't tell you on. Okay. It's someone good. Someone good's into that.
Because I really, I mean, if you take away the music and you take away the design and you take away the graphics and you take away the TV and you take away the radio, it's black.
Well, I mentioned the idea of a creative industries blackout to someone in Sydney.
Okay, we should talk.
Yeah, it was exciting. They got so excited. I thought they were going to wet themselves.
Excellent. I like that. See, nappies. If there's no nappies, it's really black. So I'll do the same with... Oh, no, actually, you need to share your unicorn and workhorse philosophy.
Chris, yeah. Okay, so to try and make it quick, the idea of the unicorn and the workhorse is that our unicorns are our purely creative work. So they're beautiful and sparkly and magical and spiritual and fab, and they feed our souls and they make us feel meaningful and they put us in the zone, and we work on our unicorns until we forget to feed our kids. And, they're just that magical place that you go when you're creating, whether it's words or images or music or art or whatever. The thing about unicorns is that they have a very, very specific job, and they are vitally important to your practice, but you can't expect your unicorns to carry too much of a heavy financial load because they're just too beautiful and magical and sparkly, and they might break. That's not their job. They might make money, but our expectation shouldn't be that they have to make money or that we need them to make money. That's what our workhorses are for. Our workhorses are just as lovely, maybe a little bit less flash, but they're sturdy, they've got broad shoulders, they can carry the heavy load. They're the ones that can actually pay the bills and, support our businesses and feed our kids. And the idea is that you get a balance in your stable between your workhorses, whom we still love, whatever that is, teaching or critiquing or corporate work or whatever you want to call it, and then your unicorn stuff, which might make money, but that's not its job. And I find that's a much healthier way, albeit a little bit odd, to think about it, because the reality is that if you're thinking about it just in terms of either starving artist or sellout, you're always going to feel like you're doing the wrong thing. And it's just ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous. I've made films for more than 20 years. I fed my children by making corporate videos and commercials, and I'm completely and utterly proud of that, and rightly so. Because that not only fed my family, it afforded me the possibility to also make documentaries that actually spoke to people, and I didn't have to rely on government funding for any of it.
I don't know about you, but I often find myself saying to people, it's okay to make money out of something that you love. It's okay to make money out of something that you're proud of.
Well, I don't know, this might be a big call, but I get the impression that you're supposed to go to school and then you're supposed to get some sort of higher education and then you're supposed to get a job, a proper one, none of your arts business. Get yourself a proper job, then meet someone nice, get married, buy a house, have babies, and do that job that you don't like very much until you retire. And then I think you're supposed to get in a caravan with someone that you're not in love with anymore and drive around until you die.
I think you should write that as a story.
I don't believe that I want to participate in that version of how it's going to go. So then you just, I think that the idea of getting paid well to do something you hate is fair enough. But, you're also allowed to get paid well to do something that you love. And can I just tell you, this is so funny. I was up at, government yesterday. And there's this new thing called the Entrepreneurs Infrastructure Program, which is support for businesses that turn over 1.5 million or more, right? And so they had me up there to ask me how many of my clients have a turnover of 1.5 million or more. Now, I have 240 clients at the moment, people that I see one-on-one for advice. And I said, none. I said, I've got 2 boys who make games in their bedroom who just cleared $1 million. And then everybody else is well and truly under the 200 grand, or, it's just this ludicrous idea that when we talk about making money, right, when we say it's okay to make money, we're talking about average wage. We're not talking about lotto. You know, most people that I work with get excited when they clear enough to make, like, for GST. You know,
I remember we had some visitors from Shock Records in Newcastle quite a few years ago, and their new aim wasn't to create the new rock band. Their new aim was to have a series of bands where each musician in that band made a reasonable living, and they were talking 75 grand. If they could get 4 members of one band to earn 75 grand, which was, you know, above the average wage, then that's what their goal was. That's what they were aiming at. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just that be comfortable, but there's nothing to say that you can't be comfortable doing something that you really love doing.
I haven't yet met anyone who's said to me, do you know what, I'm going to be an artist because that's how to make $1 million. You know, your parents weren't lying awake at night hoping you'd be a rock star. You know, it's just we want to be comfortable, that's all. I reckon if you asked every single person who works in the arts in any format, what do you mean by financial success, most people would say, I want to be able to put a roof over my head and shoes on my feet and feed my kids and maybe have a holiday every now and then. Hopefully not with that guy that I'm not in love with anymore in the caravan.
In the caravan.
But you know what, there's such modest ambitions compared to what big business talks about. You know, but for us, success is not just that. Success is this whole other range of completely subjective, fabulous things, you know. It's impossible to read. That's the joy of my job, is asking people to describe for me what success looks like. Like if you could just paint me a word picture right now of you, successful, what does it look like? And it just... You know, it's never anything like I want to make $50 million so I can buy a spaceship and live on the moon. It's like, I'd like a mortgage, you know, and maybe to have another baby. Like, yeah, it just, yeah.
A good life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if I ask you the same question that I asked Christopher before we brought our next guest on, is if there was one thing that really made an impact on you, something somebody said or something, you know, if you could give someone a gift to walk away with, what would it be?
Take yourself seriously and others will follow. You don't have to take yourself seriously in terms of being a dickhead about it, but, I mean, take the work seriously. If you expect to be respected, if you insist on treating your craft as a business, it's incredible the change in the people around you. Even just saying something like, I can't hang out the washing because I'm at work, as opposed to, I'm just messing around in the spare room, sure, I'll handle it. Like, it just makes a huge difference. Saying to your children, I'm working now. Yes, I know I just look, I'm in my jammies sitting at the desk, but I am working now, so watch telly, and if you need me for something, you have to say, excuse me, mummy, and just wait there until I am ready. It just little tiny things like that. If you expect yourself and the people around you to take your creative business seriously, you will be amazed at the knock-on effect. It's incredible.
Thank you. We'll get you back shortly. Thank you.
Okay.